we've got some breaking news out of the NFL where the Dolphins have acquired Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. That's per multiple reports. Denver will receive a 2023 first-round pick from the Dolphins via the 49ers, and the Broncos will also receive a 2024 fourth-round pick and running back Chase Edmonds. Here's some details of that trade there. Chubb has spent the first 5 years of his career with the Broncos. The Pro Bowl linebacker has tallied 5.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles this season. The Dolphins will also receive a 2025 fifth-round pick in that trade. And here to talk more about this breaking news, we do want to bring in Charles Davis. So, Charles, before we get into anything, give us your initial thoughts on this breaking news.
Well, it just tells me that Miami feels like they're in a position to, I guess it's kind of become an overused term, Jacqueline, but everyone's saying, go for it, right? And we go back, Les Snead and Los Angeles Rams. Do you have your T-shirt that says F them picks? Do you have yours? Because I think I'm still waiting for mine. But everyone out there now, GMs are much more bold, much bolder in what they're doing. And it doesn't seem like they're worried about the repercussions, the consequences, almost doing Johnny Depp playing John Dillinger, okay, in the movie of his life where he talked about, we ain't worried about tomorrow. We're just going to take care of today. And the Dolphins feel like they must be close and are competing for that playoff spot in the AFC East. And you're going after a quarterback by the name of Josh Allen. And now you had a pass rush like Bradley Chubb to Emmanuel Ogbah, to last year's first-round pick Jalen Phillips, and off they go. So here we go. The chase is on, trying to run down Buffalo in the AFC East.
And Charles, the defense, it struggled to say the least on Sunday in Detroit. So how much better are the Dolphins by adding Chubb to that D-line?
Well, they're much better because Bradley Chubb was a first-round pick, top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and his rookie year, healthy, 12.5 sacks, goes to the Pro Bowl. His next couple of seasons, not that great because of injury, missed a lot of time, couldn't put up the numbers, but seemed back in form this year. But this Denver team undergoing a lot of issues, as we know. Remember, they thought they were going to compete hard in the AFC West. And it feels like they really aren't going to be there this year, despite the fact they picked up Russell Wilson. In the preseason, we talk about the AFC West maybe being the best division in football. But right now, it's once again the Kansas City Invitational. So if that's the case, and Denver's feeling that way, Chubb became a commodity. They get a first-round pick for him, which is gold in today's NFL. And you move him to Miami. You ask the question again, how much better did they get? They got a lot better because, as I pointed out, in this situation, you're trying to win your division to get to the playoffs. Seems simple, right? But if your division means you're going through Buffalo and you've got to get Josh Allen on the ground and make sure you affect him in the pocket, yeah, you've got to do something to get better at what you're doing. And I think that they did that with getting Bradley Chubb.
And Charles, we talked about some of those trade details with the Broncos. We know they are getting that first-round pick for 2023. So overall, what does that tell you about the Broncos moving forward and where they're heading in the future, especially with that first-round pick in mind?
Yeah, forget John Dillinger right now. The Broncos are actually playing for tomorrow. They're not saying that. They're not going to admit that. But remember, it starts with this. Brand new ownership. Walton Penner. They're evaluating this team. They're going to do things their way. And remember, all the changes that happened, and I think that they had to have signed off for them because they knew they were going to get the team. But at the same time, that falls under George Payton, current GM's watch. That falls under the previous regime, signing Russell Wilson, making the moves that they made, hiring Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach. It feels like change is already in the air in Denver. This is a signal towards next year and the future, as opposed to right now, can we get involved with Kansas City? It doesn't feel like they can because the Chargers, they're not as good as we thought they were going to be. The Raiders certainly are not. This is Kansas City's division through and through. And it just doesn't have that feel, Jacqueline, that this new regime feels like this Denver team is capable of competing this year. So let's go ahead and start to look forward towards next year. And I think there may be other changes to come with this Denver team that don't involve trades of players.
All right, and Charles, overall, I want you to grade the trade for both sides. How would you grade it for the Broncos? And then moving on to the Dolphins, what are you grading them?
I'm going to start with Denver. It's an A because of this reason. You get a number 1 pick. All right. When you get a number 1 pick and you can add it and you're trying to get better in your division, trying to get better in the league, you can't turn that down because you can use that pick for so many different reasons. Pick a player, parlay it, package it, trade it away and get someone else. All those things. That's an A. To me, for Miami, I'm going to grade it as incomplete only for one reason. You did it for this year. You did it for right now to go get someone. I think Bradley Chubb's a terrific player. If we look up at the end of the year and he gets 7 to 10 sacks in the rest of this season for Miami to go along with Emmanuel Ogbah, to go along with Jalen Phillips, and they compete and get to the playoffs, then Chris Greer, the GM, that's a big-time get. If that doesn't work out, if somehow they miss the playoffs and Bradley Chubb doesn't have that kind of an impact, that's a tough one. That's the only reason I graded incomplete. I'm leaning towards it being a pretty good grade for the Dolphins because I do like their boldness of trying to go out and say, we want to get involved in 2022 and be in the playoffs that start in January of 2023.
All right, and that is Charles Davis breaking down this breaking news for us. That was also just confirmed by our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. If you're just joining us here on CBS Sports HQ, the Dolphins have acquired Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. Our Jonathan Jones confirming that. Of course, the guys will have a lot to talk about on the Pick Six podcast. Make sure you download and listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts. You can also scan that QR code.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.